Hey guys, today I'll show you a horror thriller film named Maxxine. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with a blonde girl with a fiery figure walking into a large warehouse. At the command of several interviewers, she unhesitatingly removed her smelly top, revealing her impressive blonde hormone mountains. This was the audition site for a new horror film. Her crying performance was incredibly moving. She could summon and stop her tears effortlessly. Combined with her fearless confidence in showcasing her sexy body, she immediately caught the interviewers' attention. Her name was Maxine, a renowned adult film star. For an adult star to make the leap to the silver screen was almost impossible. Maxine boasted to the other girls in line that she was certain to land the lead role in the new show, but deep down, she was far from confident. After leaving the audition, she went straight to her day job on an adult film set. Her colleagues were enthusiastically performing in front of the cameras, scenes full of raw, explicit visuals bombarding the senses. Maxine, however, was unfazed. Calmly, she changed into a nurse's outfit and began applying makeup in front of a mirror. Today's shoot involved role play. Next to her, her colleague was removing her makeup and casually invited Maxine to a private dinner party hosted by a wealthy patron. Most adult stars attended such events, hoping to snag a sugar daddy and elevate their status. Maxine, however, was an exception. She wanted to change her fate through her own efforts. Her schedule was packed. After filming adult films, she had to rush to perform as an exotic dancer at nightclubs. That evening, her agent called with life-changing news. Maxine had landed the lead role in the new show. Overjoyed, she immediately shared the good news with her friend. She had auditioned for countless roles in the past, only to face rejection due to the stigma against adult film stars. This might be her one and only chance to make it big, and she was determined to seize it. Still, she had to continue her work in the adult industry until production began. The strip club she performed at was hidden away. Patrons paid to enter private rooms where they could watch her dance behind a two-way mirror, inserting special coins into machines to do so. Maxine couldn't see the audience and had no idea that one of tonight's patrons was especially excited. This man in leather gloves clenched his fists tightly, crushing the armrest in front of him. After work, Maxine usually walked home with another colleague. However, the girl was in a rush to attend the dinner party and hurriedly jumped into a cab without even changing her clothes. Maxine walked home alone under the night sky. Passing by an electronics store, she noticed the display TVs broadcasting the news. A psychopathic serial killer nicknamed the Night Stalker had been targeting sexy women walking alone at night. Maxine decided to take a shortcut through an empty alley. She found the gate locked, and suddenly she heard faint breathing behind her. Turning around, she saw a man holding a sharp knife. He slowly advanced toward her, coldly saying she couldn't escape his big muscles tonight. Knowing she was cornered, Maxine suddenly pulled out a handgun. The psycho froze in fear, his legs trembling as he stammered that he had no intention of killing her, just looking for a bit of fun. Maxine, her expression cold and emotionless, ordered him to strip naked and kneel down to wet himself. She then shoved the gun into his smelly mouth, saying it was just for fun. Moments later, she raised her high heel and stomped hard on his most sensitive area, crushing his chicken eggs completely. Despite her strength, Maxine had her vulnerabilities. After surviving the attack, she called her friend to her house, and the two fell asleep in each other's arms without performing a hormone yoga session. Around him, she could let her guard down completely, knowing he was a gentleman who would never take advantage of her. In the early hours of the morning, Maxine heard rustling outside her door. Someone had left a videotape. She played it and was horrified to see the words "police evidence" flash on the screen. It was a recording of an adult film she had made when she was little, revealing not only explicit scenes but also a dark secret involving a death. The next morning, Maxine arrived on time at the special effects makeup studio to cooperate with the team in creating a head mold for the new show. The fake head would be a key prop in the film, so she had to set aside all distractions to focus. While the makeup artist applied the plaster, leaving breathing holes for her, Maxine was overwhelmed by a wave of trauma. Memories of being assaulted and humiliated by a perverted old woman in her childhood resurfaced. She had killed the woman in self-defense, but the horrific experience left permanent scars. As her vision blurred, she felt ghostly hands gripping her shoulders. Panicked, she leaned back and fell to the ground. Of course, the old woman was long dead and could never return. Back in her car, Maxine found a note with a phone number on one side and a childhood photo of herself on the other. She called the number and arranged to meet at a hotel restaurant. The man she met, with yellowed teeth and an unsettling demeanor, seemed to know everything about her past. He revealed that her first adult film was shot with friends at an old, remote house. During filming, the house's owner, a deranged woman, killed all of her friends. Maxine was the only survivor, having killed the old woman in self-defense. If this story were to go public, it would ruin her dreams of stardom, as people would doubt her innocence and suspect her of being the real killer. Maxine bluntly offered the man money to keep quiet, but he revealed that he was just a private investigator hired by someone else, someone powerful who wanted to destroy her. The conversation ended poorly. Soon after, 2 police officers visited Maxine asking about her 2 colleagues. Though nervous they might bring up the old case, she was relieved they didn't. Maxine's relationships with her colleagues were superficial, and she had no interest in meddling in their affairs. Maxine handed the tape to her best friend, hoping he could trace the source. Unfortunately, he could only identify its point of sale, not who had copied it. With less than a week before the show began filming, protests erupted outside the studio. The director explained that many believed horror films promoted societal decay, claiming that violent scenes encouraged psychopaths like the Night Stalker to act out. In the director's view, the group of protesters raising a fuss were nothing more than empty-headed clowns, incapable of seeing the real reasons behind societal corruption and chaos. Instead, they were merely looking for a scapegoat to vent their anger on. In fact, the reason they opposed the show was tied to the lead actress being an adult film star. Even the producer pressured the director to replace her, but she staunchly defended Maxine, dismissing the hypocritical moral guardians. To her, the show was not a traditional horror movie, but an artistic exploration of obsession, decay, and social realities. The protagonist in the film was not a conventional heroine, but a fearless woman unafraid to resist and fight. What drew the director to Maxine was her confidence and stubbornness, believing that her resilient spirit could inject life into the movie. The director's genuine support gave Maxine tremendous encouragement. One day, as they walked and talked, they arrived at the filming location of the classic horror movie Psycho. The rural old house, reminiscent of the deranged old lady's residence in the film, triggered haunting memories for Maxine, freezing her in place. Despite her rising career, a detective, like a persistent nightmare, kept stalking and threatening her. Fed up, Maxine fought back, using a key as a makeshift weapon and breaking his running nose with several punches. Determined to end the detective's harassment for good, she sought help from her agent. Deeply tied to her success, the agent promised to eliminate all obstacles in Maxine's path, even ensuring the detective would disappear if he dared to return. However, as Maxine was rehearsing her lines, a gruesome killing spree had already begun. The man in leather gloves entered her friend's DVD shop and brutally cut his tendons with a knife, leaving him covered in wounds before delivering a final blow. Afterward, he tore off his signature earring as a keepsake. The detective's car was found parked behind the shop, revealing that his employer was none other than the gloved killer known as the Night Walker. When Maxine saw her friend's lifeless body, she was devastated and finally agreed to cooperate with the police. She learned that both her colleagues had also been murdered by the Night Walker, their bodies mutilated and marked with cult symbols. The police suspected Maxine might know something, as all 3 victims were connected to her. When asked about any recent strange encounters, Maxine hesitated to mention the mysterious videotape. The male officer grew impatient, insulting her as a shameless streetwalker, while the female officer played good cop, earnestly pleading for her help to catch the Night Walker and save lives. Maxine shot her a cold glance and left without a word. Later, the director invited Maxine to visit the set of her new film. Though she rushed over, her time spent at the police station made her late. The director warned her to adjust her attitude, threatening to fire her if it happened again. The visit was significant, and clever Maxine quickly understood the director's intentions. She humbly sought advice from the current pop star of the industry and the director's protege, who had starred in numerous horror sequels. However, seeing Maxine as a competitor, the pop star offered only vague suggestions before sending her off, claiming she had to attend the elite's dinner party. Maxine mused that in the end, the so-called leading actresses and adult stars were no different. Both desperately sought the attention of the elite. Lost in thought, she wandered to a secluded spot, only to find the detective confronting her once more, this time holding a loaded gun. Maxine ran, fleeing into the Psycho filming location. As the detective prepared to trap her, he was apprehended by a security guard sent by the director, who had sensed the trouble surrounding Maxine. The guard advised her to resolve her issues before shooting resumed. Resolute, Maxine donned a daring outfit and bold makeup, heading to a bar to dance provocatively. When the detective inevitably appeared, she lured him to the restroom and escaped through a small window to the back door, where her agent and assistant lay in wait. They knocked the detective unconscious and transported him to an abandoned parking lot. When he awoke, a car crusher was already in motion, destroying his antique car and severing his limbs. His blood attracted stray dogs as the agent handled the aftermath, allowing Maxine to rest at home. While washing off her makeup, Maxine recalled the elite's dinner party. The two murdered actresses had attended, and even the pop star received an invitation. She suddenly realized that the Nightwalker was likely the detective's employer and the event's host. Maxine drove alone to the venue, a luxurious mansion. The place was dark, with only faint voices coming from the second floor. Listening closely, her expression changed. Inside the room, she found a recording from her childhood featuring her father, who had not yet disappeared. The tape captured a heartfelt conversation where he advised her to never bow to fate, no matter the danger. To her shock, the Nightwalker was her long-lost father. Once a devout priest, he had since founded a cult, rising to power and prominence. He loathed girls who disrespected their bodies, killing them in the name of cleansing their sins. Discovering his daughter's career pushed him over the edge, leading him to murder those around her. The pop star had already been gruesomely dismembered, her remains packed into a suitcase. Now, surrounded by his followers, the father prepared an exorcism ritual for Maxine, intending to film it as propaganda for his teachings. He believed this would immortalize her, turning her final moments into her legacy. As a heated brand neared her skin, the police arrived, sparking a violent shootout. Maxine seized the chaos to cut her restraints. Fleeing halfway down the mountain, she found the injured male officer. Gunshots led her to the female officer who had been blinded with a cross and her father mortally wounded. A helicopter circled overhead as Maxine picked up a gun and unhesitatingly shot her father in the head, ending his reign of terror. The Nightwalker's death became headline news, and Maxine was hailed as a hero, inspiring countless young women. Walking the red carpet for her latest film, she basked in the media's attention. Though she no longer feared her past, a flicker of sadness lingered in her eyes when asked about her motivation. With a faint smile in front of the cameras, she conveyed the message her father once said, "Never bow to fate," and that's why she was so obsessed. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.